Small-town midwife reunites with the baby she placed for adoption. 23 years ago, rain hammered the tin roof of Willow Creek Clinic as midnight bled into morning. In the hush of an unstaffed birthing room, 19-year-old trainee midwife Clara Bell battled two ticking clocks, one inside her body, one on the wall that could expose her secret. She had swapped shifts, locked the doors, and now knelt beside the cot guiding her own child into the world. Only a desk lamp glowed, its cracked shade spilling amber over antiseptic tiles. That lamp had kept vigil for every laboring mother Clara ever helped. Tonight it burned for her. Sweat dampened her collar, but her hands remained steady. When the final contraction broke, a newborn cry rose above the thunder. Tears blurred her vision, yet she cleared the tiny airway with practiced calm and pressed the infant to her chest. Heart pounding, she lifted a battered Polaroid camera and snapped a picture. Mother and daughter, cheeks touching. Before the colors formed, she tore the photo in half. The piece with the baby's face went into a little yellow bonnet she had finished hours earlier. "For when you wonder," she whispered. Headlights slid across the blinds. The adoptive couple. Clara swaddled the child, slipped on the bonnet, and kissed the soft crown. Her signature on the papers felt like etching grief into stone. The couple thanked her, oblivious to the river behind her smile. Their car soon vanished into sheets of rain. Lightning killed the power. Corridors dropped into black. Yet inside the birthing room, the desk lamp sputtered, then steadied, a lone star in sudden night. Clara set the remaining half of the Polaroid in the empty bassinet and laid a trembling hand upon the lamp. "I'll keep you burning," she vowed, watching the glow hold fast while the storm rolled on, a beacon waiting to lead a child home. 23 years later, Clara Bell stood beneath the same desk lamp that once bore witness to her secret birth. The petite clinic waiting area had aged alongside her, floral wallpaper peeling at the corners, threadbare chairs in orderly rows, and faded family photos in cracked frames. Tonight, as wind rattled the window panes, Clara guided a young mother through labor, her voice steady, but her mind elsewhere. When the infant's first cries pierced the hush, Clara felt a familiar tightening in her chest. The new mother's gratitude reminded her of a ghost she could never forget. After the newborn was settled, Clara stepped into the dim hallway, clutching the half of a Polaroid she still kept in her pocket. It trembled beneath her fingers, reminding her of the life she gave away. Later, at home, she retrieved a dusty box from her attic, a collection of torn snapshots, yellowed letters, and that same Polaroid half. Each item was a heartbeat in her past. She sat beneath a flickering lamp borrowed from the clinic, trying to decipher the face she wanted to know. Her solitude was broken by a ping on her phone, a reminder of the upcoming genealogy fair just 80 miles north. A mixture of anticipation and dread tightened her throat. Would she be brave enough to stand behind a booth labeled "Searching for Sunrise, born May 12, 2002? What if nobody came? She paced the hardwood floor, eyeing the yellow bonnet folded neatly atop her dresser. It was the lone remnant of that night, soft wool stained by tears and hope. Clara finally sank onto a plaid love seat and set the bonnet beside her. The old lamp's light danced across the fabric's worn stitches. If fate was merciful, someone would trace her. If not, the waiting would continue. Another echo in the delivery rooms of Willow Creek. She closed her eyes, whispered an oath to the lamp, and dared to believe that soon, at that fair, a new chapter would begin. Emily Foster, 23, a marketing intern in Chicago, stared at the sterile envelope on her kitchen counter. It was her birthday gift from her adoptive mother, a home DNA kit labeled "Discover Your Roots." She traced the delicate silver ribbon tied around it, remembering the tiny scrap of yellow bonnet ribbon she had tucked into her keepsake box months ago, an inexplicable relic passed down by her adoptive parents. That evening, seated at her dining table, Emily peeled open the envelope and read the instructions by the warm glow of a desk lamp. She swabbed her cheek as directed, dropped the cotton swab into the tube, and sealed it with a careful twist. Her reflection in the window showed steady resolve, but her heart thundered in her chest. What if the DNA test revealed a past she wasn't ready for? Over the following days, Emily's life oscillated between routine and anticipation. She drafted marketing briefs by day and stared at progress updates by night. When an email finally arrived, "Your DNA results are ready," her breath caught. Fingers trembling, She clicked the link and scrolled through ancestry percentages, skull-shattering percentages of Midwest European, traces of Native American, and then a match probability, 99.4%, with possible birth relative Clara Bell, Willow Creek Clinic. Emily sank onto her couch as reality reeled. 1,200 miles away, a midwife stood under the glow of an old lamp, clutching her own heart's missing piece. Emily closed her laptop and mailed the sanitized swab, wrapping the tiny Polaroid of herself in yellow tissue and sending it to the clinic's P.O. box with no return address. She wrote one line on a postcard, "I'll come find you." 5 weeks later, Clara arrived at the Willow Creek Genealogy Fair before sunrise, the autumn air crisp and scented with fallen leaves. She had transformed a humble white canopy into a shrine of memory, an ivory lace tablecloth draped over folding tables, rows of worn midwife tools, and a framed photo of a mother holding her newborn. Clara's own Polaroid half. A handwritten sign read, "Searching for Sunrise. Born, May 12th, 2002. By mid-morning, steam from coffee cups mingled with the low hum of conversation. Visitors drifted past her booth, offering polite smiles but no inquiries. Clara kept her hands busy arranging sample baby bonnets and clipping a small yellow ribbon to each display. Her heart raced with every passerby, but no one paused. Across the fairgrounds, Emily sat at the DNA testing company's booth, tapping her foot. She wore a simple blue sweater but felt exposed, as though her urgency seeped through every thread. She checked her phone. No reply. A pang twisted in her chest, the soft weight of the yellow tissue-wrapped Polaroid in her bag like an anchor of hope. As afternoon shadows lengthened, Clara's cell phone buzzed. A text from her cousin. New match, EF, high confidence, phone number included. Her breath caught. Fingers trembling, she tapped the booth's lamp, its filament glowing steady despite the chill, and dialed the number, listening to each ring. Emily's phone lay on the table, screen lighting up. Unknown caller. She hesitated, glancing at the yellow bonnet ribbon looped around her wrist. Summoning courage, she swiped to answer. Clara's voice quivered. "Emily, it's Clara Bell. I believe we're connected by more than DNA." Silence crackled over the line. Then Emily whispered, "I've been waiting to hear from you." As the sun dipped behind distant hills, both women stood beside their lamps, one in a white canopy, the other against a city skyline, bound by a shared spark. But as Clara reached for her Polaroid half, the fair's announcement drew near. Final match reveal in 5 minutes at the main stage. Heartbeats thundered. Would destiny spotlight their reunion or swallow them in the crowd? Emily stared at her phone as the fair's PA system droned in her ear. The unknown caller had gone straight to voicemail. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Then she pressed ignore. Doubt crawled up her spine. What if this was a prank? Yet she couldn't dismiss the flutter in her chest. Back at Clara's booth, she sank onto a folding chair, lamp haloing her weary features. The echo of that solitary call haunted her. No voice. No guarantee. She rifled through the dusty box on her lap, a collection of sealed letters she'd never sent. Her own handwriting beckoned. 23 envelopes, each addressed to Sunrise, one for every year. As dusk settled, Emily retreated to her hotel room. She opened her laptop and logged into the DNA portal. There it was. Clara Bell, 99.4% match. Below, a secondary notification blinked. New message from Clara Bell. Heart pounding, Emily opened it. "Dear Sunrise, I've kept this light burning for you. Meet me under its glow tomorrow at dawn. Willow Creek Clinic." Tears welled as she read and reread the lines. She glanced at her bag, where the yellow bonnet ribbon lay next to her laptop charger. Without hesitation, she booked a one-way bus ticket for the 6 a.m. departure. She packed her suitcase with trembling hands, jeans, sweater, the Polaroid half wrapped in a tissue, then placed a single letter on the nightstand. Clara sat alone in the fairground's empty field, the lamp beside her untouched by power. She whispered to the night, "Show her the way," then slipped one of the 23 letters into her coat pocket and closed her eyes, listening for footsteps that might never come. As the full moon sank behind gray clouds, two women separated by a lifetime, prepared for a dawn neither could fully imagine. Emily's bus rattled along the 2-lane highway until the sky blushed with dawn. When it rounded the final bend, Willow Creek Clinic's old stone facade came into view, its single window lamp still glowing against the pale sky. Heart pounding, Emily grabbed her suitcase and Polaroid half, stepping onto cracked pavement. Inside the lobby, the familiar floral wallpaper and threadbare carpet felt charged with history. Clara, already kneeling by the desk lamp, looked up as footsteps echoed. Emily hesitated at the threshold, uncertainty rippling across her face. The distant cry of a newborn drifted through the open delivery room door. Panic. What if she'd intruded on another family's moment? Before she could speak, Emily noticed the half Polaroid she'd mailed now pinned to the bulletin board, its edges curling. She set her suitcase down, eyes drawn to the matching half in Clara's hand. The midwife rose, finger grazing the lamp's switch. "I thought I lost you again," she whispered. Emily swallowed, voice barely audible. "I heard the baby." Her gaze flicked to the cradle visible beyond the doorway. I'm sorry." She whispered an apology and turned, leaving the remaining Polaroid half on the reception desk beside the lamp. Clara's breath caught. She dashed forward, rain-dark hair plastered to her forehead, but Emily was already halfway down the hall, her shoulders trembling like a newborn fawn's. Clara called, "Wait!" But the echo of her own panic swallowed the word. Rain began to tap against the window pane as Emily's fleeing silhouette disappeared around the corner. Clara stood under the lamp's relentless glow. Polaroid halves reunited on the desk, yet her arms remained empty. She pressed a hand against the warm glass, whispering into the quiet corridor, "Come back to the light." Clara raced through the rain-slicked streets of Willow Creek, her boots splashing in puddles as lightning illuminated shop windows. The Polaroid halves weighed heavy in her coat pocket, both proof and heartbreak. Each flash of thunder echoed Emily's hurried footsteps somewhere ahead, but the winding alleys blurred into darkness. Her mind tugged her toward places that once held comfort: the old covered bridge where she taught first aid classes, the bakery that smelled of fresh bread and childhood laughter. She halted at each landmark, straining to hear Emily's retreating sobs, but only the storm answered. The chipped paint of the bridge's railing glistened under streetlights as Clara climbed its wooden planks, spotting a lone figure hunched against the far end. Emily's shoulders shook beneath her damp hair. She clutched the Polaroid tightly, tears washing ink-smudged edges. Clara approached slowly, raindrops tracing silent paths down her face, and held out the matching half. "It's okay," she called over the roar. "You don't have to face this alone." Emily darted forward, pressing their hands together, photo halves trembling. Lightning split the sky, and in that brilliant moment, their tears shone like twin stars. Clara drew her daughter into her arms, feeling the ragged heap of fear loosen between them. Yet even as thunder rolled, a second truth echoed. The real journey was only beginning. They stood amid falling rain, wrapped in a fragile embrace, staring down the road back to the lamplit clinic, where story and reunion had first ignited. Clara whispered, "Come with me," and Emily nodded, lifting her chin as if finding new strength. Together, they turned toward the warm glow, ready to cross the threshold of past and future. Under the covered bridge's ancient timbers, Clara and Emily sat facing each other as dawn thickened the mist above Willow Creek's rushing stream. The yellow bonnet lay between them on weathered planks, its soft wool soaked through, but its color stubbornly bright against the gray. Clara's heart pounded. This moment demanded truth more searing than any storm chase. Emily's voice trembled. "Why did you choose adoption?" Clara inhaled, the memory's weight pressing like granite in her chest. She touched Emily's hand and began the story she had carried 23 years. A violent ex-boyfriend who threatened both their lives, a mother who disowned her school dropout daughter, and a clinic with rules that made no space for a teen midwife's secret. Each confession was a letter sealed and saved in the clinic's attic, 23 envelopes written for birthdays Emily never received. Clara admitted that showing up empty-handed would have broken both their lives. She believed her baby deserved safety, even if it meant exile from her own arms. Tears glistened in Emily's eyes, but the knot in her throat loosened as her mother's adoptive love and Clara's sacrifice wove together into a single tapestry. Emily rose, folded the bonnet, and placed it in Clara's lap. "You gave me life," she whispered. "Now tell me about me." Clara retrieved one of the 23 letters, dated May 12, 2003, and handed it over. Emily's fingers trembled as she read a mother's first birthday wish. Grow fierce, grow kind. The words echoed in the bridge's damp air. Clara stood as rain began to patter on the bridge roof again. Emily followed, letter clutched to her heart. They crossed the threshold back to the clinic, the second object of hope, the still-burning lamp, calling them home. "Shall we read the rest under its glow?" Clara asked. Emily nodded. Determination ignited in her eyes. Back in the hush of Willow Creek Clinic's delivery room, Clara flicked the desk lamp on. Its golden glow warmed the sterile tiles, turning each beam into a promise. Emily followed, the yellow bonnet tucked under her arm like a fragile treasure. Together, they arranged 23 neatly sealed envelopes across the metal counter, each labeled with Emily's name and a birthday date. Clara took the first envelope, May 12, 2003, and handed it to Emily. Under the steady light, Emily broke the seal and unfolded the letter. Clara watched as her daughter's eyes traced every word, a mother's longing, regrets, and hopes woven into a single page. At the letter's end, Clara had drawn a small lamp, a reminder that she would always keep a light burning, even in the darkest hours. One by one, Emily opened more letters. There was a story of a first lost tooth, another of a first day at school, Clara's way of sharing absence with presence. Each envelope bore a Polaroid print, a tiny image of Clara through the years, from tear-stained selfies to proud midwife poses, always beneath the same lamp. Emily paused at the 15th letter, her 16th birthday, where Clara confessed her deepest fear, that Emily would hate her for giving her away. Tears pooled as Emily pressed the letter to her chest. She met Clara's gaze, voice cracking. "I don't hate you. You kept your promise." Clara reached across the counter, flipping the switch. The lamp flared brighter as though celebrating. Emily placed the bonnet at its base, looping the yellow ribbon around the lamp's stem. The soft wool brushed Clara's hand, a tactile seal on their reunion. Clara cleared her throat and offered a small smile. "Whenever you need me," she said. "Just follow the light." Emily nodded, eyes shining. In that lamplit room, past and present merged into a single moment, an unspoken vow that their story was no longer one of loss, but of belonging. 1 week after their reunion beneath the clinic lamp, Clara and Emily gathered under a broad oak in the Willow Creek town green. The morning air was crisp, and families strolled past tables laden with homemade pies, baskets of wildflowers, and the soft glow of a new battery lantern at their center. Today, the adoptive parents, Sarah and Martin Foster, joined them for a picnic that wove 3 lives together in celebration and hope. Sarah arrived first, carrying a picnic basket embroidered with yellow ribbon. She approached Clara with a gentle smile and outstretched arms. "Thank you for bringing our daughter back," she murmured, eyes glistening. Martin followed, his hand resting on Emily's shoulder, as though to steady the world itself. Emily stood between the 2 women who had loved her in different ways, one who had given her life, the other who had raised her. They spread a quilt beneath the oak, and Emily laid the yellow bonnet on the battery lantern, recalling how the wool once sheltered her head and now illuminated their shared story. Clara placed the final torn Polaroid beside it. Mother, daughter, and adoptive parents reunited in a single frame. Laughter rang out as Sarah served slices of pie, and Martin lifted the lid on a jar of honey harvested by Clara's friend at the clinic. A golden beam from the lantern cut through the shade, touching each face. Emily reached for Clara's hand, then for her adoptive mother's, forging an unbroken circle. In that embrace, the weight of 23 years dissolved, replaced by gratitude and promise. As the breeze carried petals from nearby blossoms, Clara raised her glass of iced tea and toasted, "To family, chosen and given." Camera flashes from friends and neighbors documented the moment. The battery lantern blinked twice, as though acknowledging its final task, guiding a daughter back home, and as the photo captured their joy, the oak's branches whispered approval, cradling their new beginning under Willow Creek's sky. If this story of a light kept burning through years of waiting spoke to your own journey, share in the comments what beacon you've held on to, and don't forget to subscribe so we can keep bringing you tales of hope, reunion, and the power of never giving up on family.